Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we got a brand new sort of surprise update here in Warzone, the August 3rd update, which includes some new bug fixes and also a pretty significant amount of weapon tuning as well, changing a lot of the top tier meta weapons. So today we got quite a bit to break down as we go through it all. If you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you are new to the channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that subscribe button. Right around like 54% of viewers are not subscribed yet, but let's go ahead, let's jump into these notes. So first up here, we do have a handful of bug fixes. So they fixed an issue that caused players to receive damage when entering the gas due to a minor delay in the gas mask animation. So if you have a mask now, you shouldn't ever run into that issue where you're taking damage with it equipped. Super annoying, but that should be fixed. They also fixed an issue that caused the incorrect amount of armor to be applied when equipping or picking up the tempered or specialist perks, so that won't take away armor from you anymore, and it should be fully applied now whenever you do equip that. They fixed an issue causing the unintentional lighting change on Caldera, so it should be back to where it was before, not this super bright version of the game. They fixed an issue that caused the last alive player card to display incorrect text, then also an issue that caused some season 4 reloaded calling cards to display the incorrect text. What's really frustrating is that there's no mention of the whole dev error blueprint crashing glitch that's going on, that's keeping thousands and thousands and thousands of players from actually playing the game right now. That's really unfortunate that it's not included in this update. Maybe with tomorrow's playlist update we'll get some additional patch notes and that'll be included there, but just initially looking at this, I was really expecting that to be fixed right away, and not seeing it here is very disappointing. But then we get to the weapons, and there's quite a bit of changes here. As you guys can see, we got a lot to go through. So when it comes to this, first and foremost, we've got the assault rifles here. The Vargo S on the 414mm custom barrel, the velocity is now increased by 35%. We're seeing good early performance data come through from the Vargo S, but the muzzle velocity was holding back its long range viability. Honestly, the Vargo's damage is just underwhelming. It doesn't really hit that hard. It's just sort of a mediocre mid-range sniper support kind of weapon. So I honestly don't even think that buff really does all that much for it, if I'm being honest with you. For the NZ, the headshot locational multiplier damage was decreased and the shot deviation was increased. So the NZ has been nerfed yet again. That's not again going to kill the weapon by any means. It'll still be a top choice, but it is going to be feeling a little bit more consistent now with other weapons, where it's not just an absolute straight laser beam. It's going to actually have some feel and some personality to it. The headshot multiplier obviously being decreased a little bit will knock it down some, but in general, you know, it's still going to be one of the easier weapons to use, and I don't see many players deviating from that. The KGM40 caught another nerf. The headshot locational multiplier was decreased a bit, but the neck locational multiplier was increased a little bit. So I think the KG is still going to be a top tier weapon just based off of these stats and what we had before. That's not going to be a significant change. If you hit 1 or 2 headshots, you might notice a slight difference, but nothing that's going to destroy this weapon by any means. It pretty much just stays at the top of the meta there. As mentioned previously, our philosophy is to address the damage profile of weapons that are designed to be easy. The KGM40 has started to rear its head as the front runner. This is mostly due to the reliability of landing headshots and has one of the highest headshot accuracies in the game. So with that, they said because it's so easy to use, we'll knock down the headshots, but still, if you're landing neck, head, or chest, the TCK is going to be great. Now, the Volk's minimum damage, its long range damage was decreased by 1, so that'll end up updating that a little bit. That'll change things around a tad bit, but it's still going to be best for sniper support in that mid-range area. For the 287 barrel, the damage range penalty was increased, the velocity penalty was increased, and the vertical control was increased. So basically, the super strafe speed build that we're actually going to talk about, I think next week sometime, is not going to be as efficient anymore. And also on the 428 barrel, the damage range was decreased a little bit, so it's going to be worse over long range. It might have an earlier drop off now because of that as well, but it's still a great top tier sniper support weapon alongside the AS44 and then also the Nikita right now as well. And we caught an MW nerf. The kilo minimum damage was decreased by 1. Its long range damage there was decreased by 1. Little sad about that, I won't lie. While we were thrilled to see the return of the King, we might have seen a high jump in KD, particularly in the higher skill brackets on the smaller maps. This is due to the relative ease of recoil the Kilo has, so they had to drop it down to match the KGM40 a little bit. So unfortunately, yeah, Kilo nerfed again already. Still going to be a top tier MW weapon for sure, and certainly in the meta conversation as a competitive gun, but nothing crazy like some of the broken Vanguard guns. For SMGs, some of the more recent edition SMG weapons have been dominant and reduced the once great breadth that was on offer. This is mostly due to superior handling, so we're making some strategic changes there. So on the Armaguerra, the ADS movement speed scale was decreased, so that strafe speed is going to be a tad bit slower. On the 34 round mags, the damage range penalty was increased. On the 72 round mags, the damage range was decreased and the movement speed penalty was increased, but neither of those mags are the meta mag. The 60 round mag is the way to go, so that doesn't really affect the meta build, and we don't use the short barrel on the meta build either, so this bonus for movement speed decrease, that doesn't affect the meta build either. Armaguerra is still a top 3 SMG. On the Marco, the ADS is going to be a little bit slower now, and it's got a little bit more vertical control, but vertical control is easy, especially in SMG range. That's not a significant nerf either. Still a top 3 SMG. The Blixen, the max damage range was reduced to 39, so 1 hit point down on the early range damage, so like the first 10 meters or so. So yeah, but it's still going to be top tier, right? The max damage range wasn't decreased by a meter, so that'll happen earlier. Now the ADS time was also sped up. On the F3 barrel, they finally nerfed this though. The muzzle velocity was decreased, the movement speed increase was removed, and then there's also an ADS speed increase that was removed as well. So the F3 barrel is going to be a tad bit slower now, also has a little bit worse velocity, still probably the best barrel just based off the stats of the other ones though. Then on the 54 on mag, the movement speed was decreased and the ADS was slowed down. So essentially the meta build on the Blixen is going to be slower than before. To me, that probably makes the Armaguerra move up to the #1 spot in the SMGs, and then Marco and Blixen are fighting for 2 and 3. All three though still a top 3 best in the game in my opinion. For pistols, Handgun Echo, the Deagle, the neck torso, upper torso, and lower torso multipliers were decreased because, yeah, the Deagle was insane, so they had to go ahead and nerf that. On the Whitley, the shrouded barrel damage range penalty was decreased. On the MK9 barrel, the damage range was increased, so that got a slight buff actually. And on the 45 round mags, the damage range penalty was decreased a little bit as well, so some slight changes there. Whitley is still not anything special. Decent LMG, but not gonna, break the game. And then the Rogue, the max pellet damage was decreased a pretty significant amount there, and then also the minimum pellet damage was increased a little bit. So the VLK Rogue not going to be nearly as strong as it once was this past week basically. And then for attachments here, for brace, the recoil control decrease was 1% basically, so slight nerf there. Overall, this doesn't really shift the meta too much, it just balances some things out. You're still going to be using the same basic weapons in pretty much every category: the KG, the NZ, the bar, top rifles for sure, the SMG category. All this really does is make the PPSH maybe a little bit more competitive. Armaguerra is now the #1 for sure, and then pistols, LMGs, those aren't really meta categories, so nothing really changes there. This is just more so allowing some other weapons to be a tad bit more competitive because these aren't as overbearing as they once were. Overall though, not a huge meta change, and like I said, I'm really disappointed that we didn't see a fix to this blueprint bug that's basically limiting players from actually playing the game. But that said, that's gonna wrap things up for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it, and if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.